Hey, how y'all doing out there today, man? I wanted to do a quick video, talk a little bit about food labels, man, and how important it is to understand food labels when you go to the grocery store when you're shopping for your items. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of times we go to the store, we're looking for our, mustards, ketchups, our breads, our meats, right? We're even looking for soft drinks. Sometimes we're even trying to look for a soft drink alternative. Some of you guys are really trying to understand sugar in your diet, and you're trying to find the right products that you can buy product from, switching from the sodas to maybe a flavored water or things like that, like Mayo, who come out with products that you can put in your water to kind of simulate that taste of Kool-Aid, for example. For some of my people that's from back in the day in the 80s and 90s, we know about Kool-Aid all too well, don't we? So you got to try to understand the labels and understand what you're actually putting in your body and what the marketers and the manufacturers and the people who are manufacturing these food items for us is really putting in our food. A lot of us are overweight, and we can do things about that. You don't have to be the healthiest person in the world. I'm not saying you have to be a beach body babe or a physique hunk that's in the gym cut up and looking all nice. You just want to know what you're putting in your body. We want to limit the doctor visits. We want to limit the inflammations. We want to limit people having diabetes or hypertension because you're putting stuff in your body that shouldn't be there, okay? So, again, most of us go to the store and, for example, we look at a product and we see the label, right? And we look at the label and we see what's on there, and we really don't pay much attention to it, right? We kind of more pay attention to what's on the front, right? So this ketchup bottle here says organic, right? Organic tomato ketchup, okay? And this bottle right here, if you see carefully, it's also ketchup, and it says on there that it's 50% less sodium and 50% less sugar, right? And we look at the back of the label, and it's pretty much similar to the other ketchup that we just looked at, right? And it has a list of all the different things that are in this product, okay? But these are two different ketchups. These two ketchups here are not the same, okay? One ketchup actually has more sugar in it, even though it's organic, than the ketchup that says it has less sugar. Now, you think by hearing the word organic, you automatically reach for this, right? But what we find out is that the front of the labels can be misleading, y'all. You can get easily tricked and assume that because it says organic, that naturally this would be the better buy. And in reality, if you're a person that's watching your sugar, watching your sodium, this would actually be the better buy, okay? So it's important to understand what you're spending your money on, especially for your kids. And then when you get older, I mean, your body is your machine, your body is your car. You're not gonna go to the gas station and put dirt cheap gas in your car, right? So don't do the same thing with your body. Don't put dirt cheap products in your body. Understand what you're reading, okay? So we're gonna follow along and do a quick breeze through this article that I have online, and we're gonna talk a little bit about the food label. So if you have something in your kitchen, you want to pause this and go and get your something out of there that has the food label on there. You can follow along with me so you can see exactly what I'm talking about, and you can understand each and every component about what they're putting on these marketing products, okay? So it starts off here and we look at our food label, and the very first thing you see is going to be the serving size, okay? And you look at a serving size, and that tells you how much of something is per serving, okay? So if you have a box of graham crackers and it says on there that there's 8 servings per container, that means if you were to take out increments of each serving size, whether it be 4 crackers or if it's 2 sleeves of crackers, whatever it says, that is your serving size, okay? And a lot of us as Americans, we don't stay within our serving size, okay? A lot of times we get comfort in eating, okay? We are constantly going to war with our brains, our subconscious, with people, with work, with bills, with kids, with relationships, with problems, with issues, right? And food is very fulfilling, right? And so we go reaching for those cookies and crackers, and before we know it, we've eaten half the pack, right? How many of you right now can look at this video and say, yeah, that's me. I've gone right in there and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? But you don't stop, do you? Keep eating, right? And so that can lead to some issues with you if you're trying to understand exactly what's in those servings, because if you don't know exactly what's in those servings and you're eating more servings than you're supposed to, obviously that puts your body into overload, and it starts to have some negative effects. So you have to understand your serving size first to understand what's going into your body. Okay, the very next thing we look at on our food label is calories. Okay, now calories can be very misleading because we don't know how much of what food source or nutrient is based in those calories. So for example, how much of those 230 calories is fat? You know what I mean? If you don't understand how much fat is in those calories, how do you know if that's healthy fat for you, correct? Or if the calories you're eating are even healthy calories for you, because junk food has the same amount of calories that you would find in natural food, but those calories are junk calories. We call that junk food, okay, for a reason, because it has no nutritional values in those calories that you're putting in. So when you're eating those crackers and donuts and chips, you're just constantly putting in calories that have negative outcomes compared to if you were eating beans and fruits, where those calories are going to actually be nutritious calories, okay? So you have to understand calories and its role in the nutrition label, okay? Next, what we're going to go to is what we call the section that I say is a warning area, okay? And that's the fat section, okay? You have to understand that there are different types of fats. There are good fats and there are bad fats, okay? And a lot of the good fats that we find are not in junk food, okay, guys? You're not going to find a lot of your nutritional fat in those type of foods. You're gonna find more of those in like your peanuts, your walnuts, pecans, tree nuts, and things like that, okay? That's where you're gonna find that kind of good fat, okay? Mono unsaturated fats is what they call it. But you wanna stay clear of other kind of fats, or at least understand to limit the amount of other fats that are in your diet. For example, saturated fat. When you look at your label, you'll see saturated fat, and you gotta understand what saturated fat actually is. Saturated fat, when that sits out in the air, it thickens, okay? So can you imagine you having a lot of fat in one of these servings and you're constantly putting that in your body, like bacon, for example, and your sausages, correct? They're going to be higher in saturated fat, okay? Which means that when you eat those, the food, when it digests, there's a lot of fatty ingredients in that food that is going to be harder for your body to process. It makes your body work harder to get that food fat out of your system, and that fat stores up on you, and that can lead to a lot of problems if you're eating a lot of foods that are high in saturated fat. So you need to be careful by looking at the labels and looking at the percentages of the daily value of fat in your meals, okay? So if you see a package and you're seeing something where it says 24% saturated fat, that's something you might want to just stay away from. I don't care how good it is. If you have it once, please don't have that in your diet all the time, okay? You want to look for things where you have saturated fat around 3%, 5%, somewhere in that range, 8%, 7%, somewhere like that. And you're just being careful about how much saturated fat you're putting in your diet, because saturated fat is one of the leading causes of putting people in risk of heart tension and heart attacks, and again, hypertension. And you have to be careful about those things, okay? Also in the fat section, we're looking at trans fat, okay? Trans fat is definitely something you want to stay away from as much as possible. This is one of the more deadlier fats, probably one of the most deadliest fat sources that you can find. This is found in your lards, your butters, things like that, where you shortenings, where that oil, I mean, go buy some Crisco and pour water over it and pour some hot water over it and see how long it's going to take you to melt that can of Crisco, okay? It's going to take you a long time to do that, because that fat is designed to just sit on you and eat at you. And a lot of times we don't pay attention to that in our food, especially when we go to the restaurants and we're getting expensive meals. We're eating really good meals that just taste so good, and we're not seeing what they're actually putting in the food that you're eating and you're not paying any attention to it, okay? So definitely be on the lookout for trans fat. And again, we're looking for food sources of trans fat to be zero. But if you can help it and you want something with trans fat, please try to limit it to under 5% if you can. To me, I would aim for zero if it was me. So again, we don't want that in our diet. You want to eliminate that at any cost, okay? The next section that we're going to look at is cholesterol. Now, cholesterol, there's good cholesterol, right? And there's bad cholesterol. Studies show that eggs, for example, that there's a lot of ups and downs, disagreements and agreements about the nutritional value of eggs, and eggs play a vital role in your diet. So if you're a person that's struggling with protein, you definitely want to get eggs in your diet. Eggs is great for energy source. The cholesterol argument is more about the yolk. And I see a lot of people want to eat more egg whites, and I do recommend eating egg whites, but please don't throw away the yolk. Please eat the yolk. The yolk has a lot of LDL, good cholesterol in the yolk. So please eat the yolk. Butter it up. Put a little salt, pepper with that. Put you a couple egg whites in there if you need to. Shake that up and make you an omelet. Make you some scrambled eggs. Definitely do not hide away from cholesterol. But there's also bad cholesterol. And again, we find a lot of bad cholesterol where? In our fried foods, right? And I'm big on fried food. I love fried food. But they also have air fryers now. You know what I mean? So you can get you an air fryer. You can use that as an alternative to frying in grease, where you can sometimes fry in grease. I'm not telling you not to fry in grease, because who don't like some fresh hot fried fish, right? Some fresh hot fried grease with some grits, right? You know, you can't go wrong with that. But it's all about moderation, okay, guys? So again, you want to be on the lookout for cholesterol, because cholesterol plays a role in our system. That's, again, it can be good for us and it can also be negative for us. Cholesterol can definitely be a negative, because as we all know, it can lead to heart issues. It can definitely thicken the veins and the blood vessels, making it a lot harder for us to even breathe and walk around. Trust me, you keep eating fatty foods long enough and you'll definitely see that in how you are when you're walking around and taking care of yourself, okay? But with the good cholesterol, again, I was telling you the benefits of the eggs is that there are also good cholesterol that actually helps the heart, right? And it's heart healthy for you, right? You want to look for more information on that if you're really concerned about cholesterol and you're not quite sure that you understand what cholesterol is. Maybe that's something I'll do a video on, because I think a lot of us don't know a lot about cholesterol and the role that it plays, okay? So the next thing is big one, sodium. Again, I talked about that on one of my Facebook post about sodium being a #1 enemy. Please be aware of sodium, okay, guys? Understand its role. It's basically salt. That's what it is. Salt and sodium is the same thing. Please be careful of that in your diet, all right? Because that can have you in the hospital. It can have you dehydrated. Too much salt in your diet, too much sodium in your diet is definitely something you want to try to avoid altogether, okay? The next section that I see next we're going to talk about is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates is pretty much your grains, your breads, your pastas, right? And the best type of carbs that you want is going to be your 100% whole wheat. So when you're looking at your labels, you want to look to see that whole wheat is your first ingredient. You want to make sure that you get enough whole wheat into your diet. Again, it's okay to have the honey wheat or the rye or even the sesame seed breads and things like that. You really want to try to avoid white bread, okay? White bread is definitely high in sugar, so you want to be careful about eating white bread alone. Again, you can have the honey wheat, things like that. That's alternative to white bread that you can substitute in your diet, and you won't have much problems with that, okay? Again, under that component section, we have dietary fibers, total sugars, and includes added sugar. So again, be careful when you're looking at your labels about the added sugars, okay, and total sugars. Fruits, things like that have natural sugar in it. So when you look at the oranges, your plums, your pineapples, and things like that, that's natural sugar. That's stuff you can naturally taste in your food. You have to actually be careful for the added sugars, okay? Those are sugars that are refined sugars, sugars that you can find in your cereals, sugars that you find in your ice cream, sugar that you find in your cakes. They put sugar in more than that, but sugar in your pasta, for example. Next time you go to the store to buy some spaghetti pasta, pay attention to the back of the labels. You'll see that they have added sugars in pasta that you can find alternatives that don't have the added sugar that taste just the same, okay? So you just got to be aware of that hidden ingredients when they show you added sugar and understanding what added sugar is, okay? If it's not a whole ingredient in the very first section of the ingredient section, chances are those are hidden sugars in there, and you have to be aware of that, okay? Last but not least, we're looking at the protein section. Again, protein is self-explanatory. Protein is definitely something you need in your diet. The higher the protein, the better. You find most of your proteins in your meats. You can find a lot of proteins in milk. You can even find protein in plant sources. So again, we're looking for high amounts of protein. Try to get a lot of protein in your diet. Make sure protein is something that is a staple to your diet, okay? So in closing, I definitely just wanted to talk overall about the role that these nutrition labels play in our life. You definitely have to understand the nutrition labels. You have to really read them. Be in the store, man. Take your time. Read what you're putting in your body. If you don't know the name of something, Google it. Why would you put something in your body that you don't know what it is and what it does to you? I've told you guys plenty of times that the food manufacturers are not here to make sure that you live right. They're here to make $1, okay? So whether they sell a product that benefits you or a product that benefits them, that's for you to decide, okay? So I hope you like this video. Again, like, share, comment on this video. I hope you guys got some good information out of this. I know this was a little longer of a video, but it's very important that you guys understand food labels. You need to know what you're putting in your body so that way you can be the best person that you can be. And by doing this, this will save you money going to the doctor. This will save you money going to the dentist. And this will save money from your kids going to the doctor and the dentist because you'll make better nutritional choices because you'll take time to read food labels, okay? Again, make sure you read your food labels, understand them, know the difference, all right? I love you guys. Love, peace, and happiness, man. Have a great day. Enjoy. Peace.